What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 scariest anxiety symptoms that I experienced whenever I was going through my health anxiety, panic disorder, generalized anxiety. In hopes to relate with you, I'm going to share my experience, what they were like, and why they scared me so freaking much. But do me a huge favor and smash the like button down below if you're ready to kick anxiety in the butt. Leave me a comment down below. Today's question: what is your top 5 scariest anxiety symptoms? Let us all know down below. Let's see what we have in common. But let's jump right into this video. All right, so I had health anxiety. So whenever I had symptoms, I thought that they were a sign of an illness or a disease or a medical emergency. Basically, I thought my symptoms were killing me. And that's why it made these symptoms so much more scary than maybe somebody dealing with just social anxiety, which are still uncomfortable. And of course, panic is still scary. We have the impending doom and the symptoms that arise. But nonstop, I thought that I had something other than just anxiety. And that made acceptance hard, and it kept me in the vicious cycle, and I stayed symptom focused. So the common theme you're gonna see with all these symptoms that I'm gonna state is that health anxiety made them much, much worse, and my fear and negativity and catastrophizing and Googling and obsessing led to them magnifying, which made it more convincing that I had that actual illness, disease, or medical emergency. The last symptom that I'm going to talk about is the scariest one that I dealt with most of the time, but don't let that fool you. All top 5 of my scariest symptoms were terrifying because I had hundreds to choose from. So to make my top 5, they got to be pretty freaking brutal. All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is anxiety-related headaches. On a severe end, we're talking about migraines, but for most of us, we're talking about tension headaches, okay? So this is something that I dealt with sporadically, all right? And that's the only reason I have it at number 5 out of my top 5. I didn't deal with it 24/7 like some people, but I was dealing with primarily tension headaches. Yes, muscle tension can cause pain everywhere, including your head, and it felt like a band was being wrapped around my head. Now, don't get me wrong, I had other types of headaches. I had dull headaches, pounding. I had isolated areas in my head that would hurt, which freaked me out even more. I would have sharp pains, radiating pain. So I had pretty much the whole shebang when it came to headaches, but primarily they were just tension headaches. But I had health anxiety, so I always assumed the worst case scenarios. So strokes, aneurysms, some type of blood blockage or blood clot, and of course the Mac Daddy of them all, brain cancer. And the reason the brain cancer thing hit home is because I had a grandfather and a great-grandfather that died from brain cancer. And I pretty much accepted in my teen years that there was a very good chance that this was how I was going to go out in my 50s, 60s, or 70s, maybe if I was lucky, 80s. And it doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed to have that, of course. But I was like, you know, there's a pretty decent chance, you know? So I had kind of accepted that. So whenever I got my health anxiety, I was even more negative and even more fearful of this. And I started to assume that this had just gotten to me a lot quicker than my grandfather's. So I thought that I had the later stages of some type of brain cancer. There's many different types, but I thought there was a tumor growing in my head, and it had finally infringed on areas to cause pain, and I was afraid that it was going to be too late. So this sent me to the doctors a lot. You know, they wouldn't give me the CAT scans or anything because they told me there wasn't anything else going on, that this was just anxiety. But again, it was hard for me to accept. So I dealt with these headaches on and off, and that's my first scariest symptom. All right, so the next symptom to make my top 5 is numbness and tingling, and I'm gonna put them together to save time, and also they're caused by the same thing. But I had health anxiety, so whenever I Googled things, there were a lot of horrible outcomes for numbness and tingling. That's why I say don't Google, you're gonna get the worst stuff at the top. So we're talking about neurological diseases, we're talking about things like the MS, the Parkinson's, the ALS, and that would scare me. Obviously strokes, we know that strokes can cause certain sides of our body to go numb. Primarily mine was the left side, which brings me to heart attacks. I had cardiophobia, heart anxiety for the first 2.5 years of my health anxiety. So I would get the numbness, the tingling, the fast heart rate, the chest pain, everything that comes with a heart attack, except it was anxiety attacks and panic attacks. So I would get numbness with panic attacks and the tingling, obviously, but also I would just get it when things weren't obviously dangerous or whenever I wasn't having panic. I could just get numbness throughout the day, pretty much on any part of my body. But primarily, it was my fingers, my hands, my arms, the extremities of my face, my feet, my toes, those are the first areas to go numb and tingle. And a lot of times you'll get the cold temperatures in those same areas. Why is this happening? Okay, and this is what I didn't understand in the beginning. Whenever we're really anxious, especially when we have panic, we have redirected blood flow. So when your blood flow leaves your extremities to go to your more vital organs and muscles for survival, right? You're gonna have a drop in temperatures, you're gonna have numbness, and you're gonna have tingling in your extremities. So I dealt with this. Sometimes it was 24/7 for stretches, and then other times it was just brought on by panic. But if you go through this one, you are not alone. All right, so the next one, guys, is extremely common. If you're watching this video, you've probably dealt with it, and it's shortness of breath. There's a few different reasons why this can happen, but I would deal with this pretty much on a daily basis, especially if I had an anxiety attack or a panic attack and would go into fight or flight. So let's start there. If you're having a panic attack or a lesser form of anxiety attack, your body is going into some form of survival mode, which means it's trying to get you away from an enemy or fight an enemy off, okay? So think about it. If you are running from a tiger or fighting a tiger, do you think you're gonna be taking long, deep, satisfying, deep breaths? No, hell to the no. What are you gonna be doing? Running away or fighting, right? So that's why you feel that way if you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack. And what's happening is breathing is increasing so oxygen can get to other parts of the body quicker, so you can use your muscles and your organs can do what they need to do to help you get away from something or fight something off, all right? So that's the example with anxiety attacks or panic attacks. The other reason can be straight up muscle tension. Again, we're going back to tension. Tension causes most of the symptoms of anxiety. So the tension can restrict your chest, your breathing cavity up here, your lungs are right there, and then your diaphragm, okay? It can constrict that area as well. And the thing is we call it shortness of breath, but really there's not really a shortage. It's just your breathing pattern changes and it's uncomfortable and you're noticing it, you're fearing it. You're just breathing more shallow and rapidly. You're still getting the right amount of oxygen that you need, but sometimes if you have the panic, you go into hyperventilation, but you're getting the right amount to survive. So it's just a change in your breathing pattern. But know if you deal with anxiety, you know, this is extremely common. It's one of the top probably 3 or 4 or 5 symptoms of anxiety. And the reason that I would fear it wasn't so much of like fearing lung disease. For whatever reason, I never really feared lung disease or COPD or anything like that. What I primarily feared was heart attacks. So obviously you throw shortness of breath in with your numbness and tingling and chest pain, you know, it really makes you feel like you're having a heart problems. All right, so number 2 on my list is brain zaps. And it's pretty amazing that it makes my number 2 because I only had it 2 times, just a couple times, but it felt so weird, so strange. I thought I was gonna die in that moment. I felt like a goner, I had no chance. And I'm gonna do my best to explain what a brain zap feels like, but everybody's gonna have a different definition. You can do your own research, but I'm just gonna let you know there's not tons of information on this. And I think this is why it makes it more scary. There's not a lot of research, a lot of information. Why do some people have them all the time? Why did I just have them twice? I know there's some information as far as like coming off of drugs or antidepressants or benzos can lead to more of them, but also just extreme levels of anxiety can cause brain zaps. Now, the first time that I had this, guys, was obviously the scariest. I had a horrible morning of panic and anxiety. I think I'd done a lot of drinking the night before, so I had some anxiety or an anxiety hangover. And out of nowhere, I was talking to my girlfriend. We were getting ready to go to a Little League game, and I was trying to get my stuff together, you know, try to calm down a little bit, ease my symptoms. And out of nowhere, I felt this crazy buzzing, vibration, spasmy, zapping type feeling deep within my head. All right, so I guess that's where we get the word brain, right? It's deep in there, it's in my brain. And it felt so strange, so weird. I remember falling to my knees, automatically assuming that I'm having an aneurysm, something just went loose up there, or I was having a stroke. And I told her immediately at the time, I was like, call an ambulance, I'm about to die. And she was like, Trey, are you sitting? She got out her phone and she was starting to dial. And the craziest thing, as quickly as it came, it went away. It only lasted a few seconds. Now, from most of the people that I've talked to and the comments that I've seen, for most people, they only last a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds at the most. So if you've had brain zaps that have lasted longer than that, please share that. But the best way to describe it is buzzing, vibration, zapping, a shock. It's like a spasm right in your brain, and it feels very uncomfortable. It's weird, it's strange. Mine wasn't painful, so if you've had painful brain zaps, let us know. But I didn't experience any pain with mine. But it felt so weird, and the fact that I never felt anything like that before in my anxiety journey made it feel like this was something different, something real that was happening with my brain. So as far as like a disease or a medical emergency or something. So that makes my top 2. All right, so the top symptom of anxiety that scared me the most was chest pain. This started the very first time I had a panic attack. I had the shortness of breath, the numbness, the tingling that we talked about. You know, I had a headache, I had shakiness, but then my chest started to hurt really bad, and this made me run to Google, and it told me that even though I was 20 years old, that I was having a heart attack, but I was just having a massive panic attack. After that, guys, my chest hurt 3 freaking weeks straight from all the tension that built up in that first 6-hour-long panic attack. From that point on, I was hooked. I thought that I had something wrong with my heart. I had all the tests, everything that you can imagine. I went to the doctors over and over and over. I went to the ER, to the hospital over and over and over. I spent the night in ER parking lots in case I would have a heart attack, because when this chest pain would start, I assumed death was right around the corner. I had every type of chest pain that you can imagine. I had it up high, guys. I had it down low. I had it to the left. I had it to the right. I had it right in the middle. The types of pain that I would have radiating, where it'd go to my back and my shoulders, which I would look that up and it'd say that's even more of a sign of a heart attack. You know, it would shoot towards my shoulder and down my left arm. That told me that it was a heart attack. I'd have crushing pain, felt like an elephant was sitting on me. Sometimes I would just have sharp pains or shooting pains in my chest. So I had every type of pain that you can imagine, and even whenever it wasn't bad, I still just had that little reminder that something might be wrong with a dull chest pain ache, right? And the thing is obviously what happened with anxiety attacks or panic attacks, like that's the kind of the common theme with all my symptoms. They would get much worse when I would have anxiety or panic attacks. But the thing with the chest pain that made acceptance really difficult for me was I was getting all these tests done. They were telling me that I was fine, and I could be out eating out or at a barbecue or hanging out with my friends or watching a movie, something that was kind of peaceful, and I wasn't consciously anxious, and my chest would still hurt. So this held me back for a freaking long time. So chest pain by far was the scariest symptom. If you have this symptom, and in fact, if you've had any of the symptoms that I've discussed so far, the first step is to get reassurance and start working on acceptance. So you have to go to the doctor. And in the beginning, I was scared to go to the doctor. Then I couldn't get enough of going to the doctor. So you want to find a balance, but you at least need to get that first initial push of reassurance to get the ball rolling. So if you haven't been to get checked out, make sure that you're healthy, okay? Because if you want to start exercising and challenging, you need to know that your heart is healthy enough for some of those things. So I encourage you to go get checked out if you haven't. And speaking on acceptance, if you've made it this far in the video, I want you to go down below in the comment section, and in all caps, I want you to put, I accept anxiety. I accept anxiety. Thank you so much for watching this far. When you watch all of my video, it helps so much. It helps me spread awareness. It helps me reach new people. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching this far. Just remember, guys, if you're going through these symptoms, there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I recovered 100%. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not possible. I had multiple panic attacks. I had hundreds of symptoms. I thought I was dying every freaking day. That's why I started making these videos. That's why I still make them, to show you that if you put a plan together, if you strategize correctly, if you're patient, if you're consistent, if you challenge, if you expose, you can get past this. And part of overcoming your anxiety is overcoming fears and triggers, exposing yourself, making yourself uncomfortable every single day. And if you want recovery, you can't do it without that. Tools are great, but you got to put them into action. So if that's something that you're interested in, please check out my course, Elite Anxiety Bootcamp, right? The enemy is anxiety. You need to know how to defeat your enemy. You need to know how they work for you to be successful. So check out that. It's going to give you the proper mindset for recovery. Everything's going to be step by step. It's my blueprint on how I recovered from anxiety step by step. There's a daily routine. It's going to show you what I did from the minute I woke up until the time I went to bed. So that can set you up for success. Tons of people are getting results. Again, every single day, more people are enrolling in this, and it makes me so freaking happy to see people trying to take control of their life, and not just to get their life back, but to get a new life. And see, that's important. I always tell people when they tell me that I want to get my life back, it's like, no, that's actually what got you here. There's a new you waiting on the other side of recovery. So if you're tired of being symptom focused, if you're tired of panic attacks, health anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, try that course out. It will help you like it's already helping many others. There's other resources down below in the description. Check that out. There's online therapy. If you've never been diagnosed, you need to be diagnosed to start moving forward with a plan. There's also my TikTok, my Instagram, my Snapchat, my Twitter. There's free Facebook groups to join for extra support. Join all of that good stuff. And guys, thank you so much for watching this. Please do me a huge favor before you leave and hit the like button if you got value. Again, leave me a comment and let me know what your top 5 scariest symptoms are before you head off. I'm gonna put some other videos up here, including my most recent one. Check that out. I'm uploading often, so be a part of that. And subscribe if you're new here. Be a part of this family. We're closing in on 1,000 videos that help people with their anxiety. I don't want you to miss any of them, so hit that notification bell. But until next time, guys, keep fighting. I'll talk to you tomorrow.